Hey folks, welcome back to the bench. Today we're zoomed in on the SIG Sauer P210 American frame because I want to show you something I've been doing a little bit of experimentation with. And what sparked this kind of is that when I replaced the trigger in it with this Gray Guns trigger, I noticed that it had some extra side-to-side play, that it's about 0.4 narrower than factory, which is fine. I mean, they're manufactured parts and they have to have clearance. They have to be able to move. So it's not a functional problem. I'm not correcting anything broken here. Let me just make sure that's clear. And so I started looking around at the stock trigger, and it also has some play in it. So I said, I wonder if I can do something to correct that. I measured this trigger pin here and found that it was 0.117 inches in diameter, which is just under 3 millimeters. It's probably a 3 millimeter pin if I were to guess the way they have it spec'd. And I started looking around and I found these things, just some little flat washers, and they measure 3 millimeters internal diameter, 5 millimeters outside diameter, and they have a thickness of 0.1 millimeters. You guys can see that there, yeah. 3 by 5 by 0.1. And 0.1 millimeters, for those of us that use proper measurements, works out to about 0.4 of an inch, which is the dimension in width that the Gray Guns trigger was smaller than factory. And the factory had some slop of its own, just as it was normal at. And so I said, I wonder if I can take these and put one on each side of the trigger and just even it up some. And so I've got one in here already. I've actually already had both of these in and it works. And all I'm doing to do this is just taking that pin halfway out and then taking my little washer here and kind of laying it there on that flat. I gotta push the trigger all the way to the opposite side. I can just take this stick and work it down. Of course, it's easy when the camera isn't watching. But I can just work it kind of down in there. This would probably help if I hadn't degreased it so thoroughly, but I didn't want it to be all shiny for you guys watching. There it is. It starts going down in. And then what I can do is just come to the side here, and I think you can probably see it down in there. And all I have to do then is I've got this little Allen wrench. I kind of move them into place a little bit better. Take this stick, get it down in there, run around the hole to make sure that it's flush on all sides. Looks good. And I'll go ahead and push the pin through. I'll go ahead and just seat it up. There it is. Hear it click into place on the retainer. And so now I've got the one that was in there before, and then the one that we just put in with you guys here with me. And you can see it really takes up pretty much all of that play side to side on that trigger. So you just get kind of a different, I guess more of a concrete feel, more of a firm feel to it when you're squeezing the trigger. It still, I mean, even now with just the trigger spring in there, it returns just fine. It's not binding or anything. You don't want to wedge this out to where it's tight in there. It still has play, still has clearance that it needs to function, but it just takes some of that side to side out. And I think that is kind of nifty, that for a few bucks, because these things are cheap. I mean, there's a pack of 50 of them. I think it was like $5 or something with free shipping. So they cost next to nothing. They're really easy to install. I didn't have to even take the frame apart. I didn't have to take the trigger out even. I didn't have to remove the pin entirely. I just worked it one way and then the other. Put that in there. Just ring something around the hole to line it up. And go back through. I mean, the only reason the grips are even off is just because I degreased it and I didn't want to mess with, try and dry the grips back out. But yeah, and you can just see them. I don't know. Can I get you guys a better view of it? This way, that might work. Yeah, you can just see it down in there. It doesn't, it's not visible from outside the pistol in any way. Just a little stainless steel washer there that kind of shims out the slop on both sides. Works great. I've put the pistol back together and function checked it, and it doesn't cause any problems, doesn't cause any binding. Obviously, once I start reassembling this off camera, I'm going to oil everything nicely so that I don't get any corrosion or anything like that, and to help the parts move smoothly. But now, even dry, working well. I put it in there earlier when it had a bunch of grease and firing residue from my last video, and it worked even with all that gunk. So if that's something that you want to mess with, kind of a cool cheap trick to just custom fit things a little bit. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Probably kind of a pointless exercise, but I kind of like the result. I think it turned out okay. So see you later, folks.